Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming or Battlefield-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for the day comes from Trenton, and it is, what do you think of having an instant death punish mechanic in Rainbow Six Siege, where if the defensive team leaves the arena, they leave the building, it will cause them to die instantaneously after a couple of seconds? This is a suggestion that I have been hearing a lot lately in the Rainbow Six Siege community because I think it's in response to the exploit that some people are taking advantage of, but also because it can be very frustrating when you are on the outside of the map on offense thinking that you should be relatively safe considering there's police cars, there's all these police vehicles surround the compound, but some random terrorist is able to run outside for 5 seconds and get a flank off. Like, that just doesn't seem realistic, and it's also just very frustrating when it occurs to you. That said though, I don't feel like this is the best way of handling it. Admittedly, as long as they're able to fix the exploit, which we'll get to here in a second, I think that the way that they've gone about it is just fine. The 2-second window that they give you isn't much breathing room to pull off one of these amazing flanks like you could do at the release of Rainbow Six Siege. At the launch, it was 5 seconds. It was a little bit ridiculous, but now that's only the 2 seconds, like, you have to get very lucky to be able to kill even just 1 or 2 people before they even realize that you're there. And so as long as the offensive team is doing their due diligence of sniping out the cameras, these situations shouldn't happen very often. I think the main reason why a lot of people are advocating that this be added into the game is because it would be more of a band-aid fix to a serious issue, and that is an exploit where the defensive team is able to exit the arena, they're able to exit the main building and run into the offensive team spawn even before they spawn on in and get a multi-kill. I have had rounds where I noticed, I was looking through my camera drone trying to find the objective, and then I noticed that the enemy had exited the arena. Like, it gives you the prompt, it flashes on your screen, and I realized that all of them, their entire team, was moving to the different spawn locations for the offensive side. As soon as we spawned on in, my entire team died to a C4 charge. It is literally game breaking. I'm disgusted that people are taking advantage of it, but it's something that's happening right now. And so while yes, this new sniper mechanic would solve this problem, they wouldn't be able to do it, it would be more of a band-aid fix to something that really shouldn't be in the game to begin with. And so, in my opinion, I don't think that this new mechanic is necessary. I think what Ubisoft needs to nail down is just to make sure that this exploit is no longer possible. Some of you might disagree with me. Some of you might think that this is an awesome idea. You love the concept of not even allowing the defensive team to even run outside whatsoever, but I feel like that is taking things a little bit too far. But of course, that is just my opinion. The next question is, do you think that the days of PC desktops are limited? I would like to build my own gaming PC, but I'm afraid that it won't be worthy for 2016 and beyond. What? How? Where did you get this information? I would say that PC gaming is booming right now. In recent years, it's been doing incredibly well, and I would actually say that it has been growing. I know there has been some websites out there, and maybe this is where you're getting your misinformation, where they make the claim that the mobile market and mobile gaming is going to be the death of desktop computers. Not only are we nowhere near that point, the graphical power and the power of mobile phones is nowhere near the state where they're going to be able to run Witcher 3 or the top tier games in the future. But also, it just doesn't make sense to play your favorite games on a mobile device. Do you want to play a first-person shooter on your tablet? I don't really want to because the controls just don't make any sense. Do you want to play like a fighting game on your phone? Like, probably not. And so while yeah, mobile phones are going to do some impressive things in the future and it's going to change the landscape of gaming, that does not mean that desktop computers are going to die and they're all of a sudden going to be obsolete in the next couple of years. Like, we are nowhere near that point, and I'd actually say that things are looking brighter and brighter for PC gamings. And so yeah, I highly recommend that you get involved. Do not let that be a deterrent, because PC gaming is not going anywhere. The next question comes from Andrew, and it is, do you think that a vote map would be a good thing for Rainbow Six Siege, or do you think that it would turn into Counter-Strike Go, where you end up playing the same map 90% of the time? Personally, I would love to have this feature. In general, I think the majority of the maps are amazing in Rainbow Six Siege, but there are a few exceptions. The biggest exception to this rule is Oregon and the Bar. I can't stand these maps. I've tried to like them, I've tried to learn them, I've tried to enjoy them, but for the life of me, I think that they're a pile of crap, especially Oregon. And so if I had the ability and I had the option to vote for something else when that came up in the rotation, I would be all for that. The only issue that we run into is the one that you bring up, and that is that we might have the problem where we only play on a couple of maps, and that is something that we want to avoid. I feel like the reason why this happens in Counter-Strike is because you can basically vote for Dust 2 every single time. If they did stuff like other games, like Call of Duty, I think Halo does this as well, where they give you a couple of options, we wouldn't run into this problem, but it still might be unfortunate where we only play on House 24/7. The only counter argument to this is that, well, hey, what if someone really likes Oregon, or they really like these maps that I just refuse to play on? Well, it kind of sucks for them, because if they are in the minority, they never get to have that experience. They're never able to play on their favorite maps simply because they have a different opinion. And so I think really the best way of going about it is either just having a great vote matchmaking system. I think that would be one way of doing it, but more of just making sure that the preferences that are already in the game work. Right now I have Oregon off, and for some reason I get Oregon just as often as I get every single of the other maps, or at least it feels that way, and I wish that that was not the case. And so if they were able to make those preferences a little bit more weighty, if they put more weight behind it so that it was really unlikely that you would play on those maps, then I think that that would resolve a lot of the problems that I have with some of the map rotations. I still think that being able to vote for maps would be an awesome step in the right direction, but of course it does have its flaws. The next question is, what do you think about bots in Battlefield 4? Why did DICE need them? Interested to hear your thoughts on that. Well, I'm assuming you're referring to the incident that happened a couple of months ago where DICE was testing bots. If you weren't aware, you could join a server. It didn't last very long, so not a lot of people were able to take advantage of it, but you could join a server and fight against an army of AI bots. They weren't very good, they weren't very accurate, they may not have played the objective as well as normal players, but DICE was clearly testing something. And while we have absolutely no idea why they were testing it, what was cool to me is that we haven't seen something like this in a very long time for the Battlefield franchise. What it leads me to believe, and this is the reason why DICE has the CTE, is because they might be testing to add in AI or bots in a future Battlefield game. DICE has said on numerous occasions that the CTE isn't just for testing stuff for Battlefield 4. Like, a lot of the stuff that they've learned and a lot of the lessons that they've learned from Battlefield 4 CTE, they plan on transitioning and using that knowledge in the next Battlefield game. And so while once again this is pure speculation, I'm crossing my fingers that this might mean that we'll be getting an AI mode or an offline mode for the next Battlefield game, much like we had back in Battlefield 2. A lot of people have been asking this for a very long time now. Not only just because it would be nice for newer players to jump in and experiment with new weapons or just experiment with the mechanics and get adjusted to what makes Battlefield Battlefield, but it also would be great if you just didn't have access to internet. Maybe you were traveling or maybe your internet is out, so that you could still play Battlefield and get that experience. I know that some people might bring up, oh, they should just play the single player then. Like, they should just play the campaign and that's how they should get comfortable. And while that is one way of going about it, there is definitely something distinctive between the single player and the multiplayer. And if you were able to have just AI bots running around, and that was one way that you could get adjusted to not only learning the multiplayer maps, but understanding how the multiplayer works, I think that that would be a great step in the right direction. And so while we have no idea why DICE was testing these bots, really the only conclusion that I can think of is that we might be getting it in the future Battlefield game. Pure speculation, I have no idea if it's true, but that is the best guess that I can come up with. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.